For my graphic, it was talking about all of the U.S. direct aid that was received by countries in a time frame from 2004 to 2008. And so I believe that the graphic was mostly intending to talk about which countries were receiving the aid in order to demonstrate that our allies weren't necessarily being given the aid that they needed. And this was confirmed. I looked up the original source and they were talking about it. And what basically they were talking about is how you see on the graph that Iraq received a good chunk of the aid, but it wasn't really going to the places that they wanted it to go to. Hillary Clinton actually during this time was talking about the 3Ds: diplomacy, defense, and development. And so they were saying that they wanted to see more development in this time period, but instead they saw a lot of military spending. So Iraq and Afghanistan, Sudan, and Egypt, all of these countries on this list mostly got these things due to defense spending or military spending instead of going to development spending. For example, India is very, very low on this list. They received like a very small percentage of the money during this time, and they pointed out that India contains so many millions, hundreds of millions of people living in poverty, and it's ridiculous that India received so little in comparison to Iraq and Afghanistan when Iraq and Afghanistan make up so much less of the world's population. So this is also compounded by the fact that countries like Liberia and Ethiopia that are more aligned with us received a lot less aid than Iraq and Afghanistan. So you're helping out countries that aren't aligned with us and aren't really as impoverished in numbers of people relative to other countries, because money spent helping out India would be a lot better, because improving a few cities there a little bit would make lives, hundreds of millions of lives better, versus a few cities in some other countries that would only make maybe tens of millions of lives better at max. So they were mostly talking about how we should reallocate some of the sources from up here in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Sudan and Egypt to more like India and Liberia that are more friendly to us, and other larger countries like Pakistan that need more help developing, as opposed to using military forces.